Our bodies can create opioids, benzodiazepines, psilocybin. We have a pharmacy within us. And we were never even taught that our bodies can create all these chemicals that we go to doctors to get. We can actually trigger our bodies to create these chemicals through meditation and through exercise and through deep breathing. And we're not told that. I had no idea about this till a couple years ago, but it's a fact. And I bet you've never heard of that. Probably most of you've never heard of that. We've been lied to about epigenetics and the roles that genes play in our life. We've been told that our genes control our lives, and that's just not true. Actually, our minds and our thoughts and our emotions can create how our genes respond within our bodies. We're the creators of how our genes act. We're not some cog in a biological machine that has no control over what's going on. That's simply not true. Yeah, the scientific community has misled us. Francis Crick came up with the DNA model in the 50s. I think it was 1957. He also created the central dogma. Central dogma is the 10 commandments of biomedicine. And it's been like that forever. Dr. Bruce Lipton figured out that genes are actually controlled by our thoughts and the environment around us. And by environment, that means our emotions and our thoughts and our feelings, and also the situation that we're in life. You know, if we're living in a peaceful place, that matters too. The function of our mind is to create coherence between our beliefs and the reality that we experience in the 3D world. Then our lives unfold to show us the beliefs that we carry within us. And that's the kind of world that we see. Each one of us is made up of 50 trillion cells. It's a community of separate entities. Each cell is its own entity. It's like its own little person almost. And the community is what controls our lives and how we feel and how healthy we are. But who's the government of that community? Our minds. Our mind is the government of the community of cells, and our mind tells the cells what they should do. It lays down the law for how the cells should respond within our body and how our genes should respond within our body. DNA model that science runs off of is nothing more than a hypothesis that was put forth by Francis Crick in the 50s. And there's no truth to it. It's not true that our DNA, makes us sick. Actually, there's only 2% of humans that are born that actually have some kind of DNA mutation where it actually, it'll either make them handicapped, I don't know if that's the proper word, physically challenged, or you can be born with maybe type 1 diabetes or sickle cell anemia. Those are about the only diseases that people come into this world with. But that's like 2% of the population. So 98% of us have no reason to be sick from our genetic heritage. Genetic determinism states that genes determine the characteristics of our life. And if that's true, then that makes us all victims. And the truth is we're not victims, and genes don't control the characteristics of our life. Please leave us a comment and like and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. The medical community is taught that DNA controls everything, so doctors don't even know any better. That's all the learning institutions teach them this. So they don't even know any better. They have the belief that it's true. Like I said, Dr. Bruce Lipton discovered this in 1967, and he tried to show it to them, and they didn't want anything to do with it because they were going to have to change their entire curriculum around to meet what Dr. Bruce Lipton was teaching them, that the discovery that he had. And the schools just didn't want to do that. They wanted to stick with the old founded way that they had been teaching. And quite frankly, Big Pharma likes us to think we're victims because when you're a victim, what do you need? Someone to rescue you. Well, who's going to rescue you when you're sick? Big Pharma. We're more powerful than anyone wants to recognize, than the medical community wants to recognize. We have been misprogrammed to believe that we're deficient and weak and unable to heal ourselves, but that's simply not true. 300,000 people die each year from taking prescription drugs that were legally prescribed by a doctor. And the medical community just thinks, well, that's just part and parcel of, giving people medicine, that some are going to be allergic to it, or some are going to take too much, or they might, whatever the situation is that ends up killing them. But 300,000 people a year dying from prescription medicine that doctors have given them is way too much, in my opinion. Genes do not control our biology any more than a light switch controls the light in a room. Somebody has to flick that switch and turn it on. And who flicks the switch to turn on our biology? Our minds, our thoughts, our emotions. We have control over that. And that's the thing that we have not been taught. Our minds are the contractor that reads the blueprint of the genes and tells it what to do, what to build, what proteins to make in our body. As I said, the genes are the blueprint. Each blueprint can be modified 30,000 different ways depending on how our mind tells it to work. Our minds can tell our genes to rewrite the program, to rewrite that blueprint, and we can go into spontaneous remission. People have spontaneous remission. If you watch Dr. Joe Dispenza, I talk about him all the time. Go on YouTube and look up Dr. Joe Dispenza's testimonials, and there are hundreds of them, if not thousands of them, people who got healed from stage 4 cancer all through their body and other diseases, all kinds of diseases, autoimmune diseases. So it's not impossible. We're just told that it is. Ultimately, it comes down to this. Our perception of reality, if we think we're in danger and we're living in fear, our genes are going to act in unhealthy ways and cause disease. But if we see the world as a beautiful place, and if we live in joy and peace and kindness, then our genes create health and wholeness. So our perception of life means a lot more than we realize. All right, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you.